thank you for joining me. My name is John Durner and I'm the director of a company called DY3 Solutions. We provide a lot of organisational development, leadership development and also some personal and one-to-one coaching. I'm also a former head teacher and I remain passionate about the development of our young people, particularly now as we emerge sort of out of the trenches of COVID and take a look at the landscape that's in front of us. And it could be seen as not particularly encouraging. Huge amounts of people, it isn't. It's been devastating. For our young people, much as their education, the continuity of their provision has been severely rocked by the last 12 months or so, it is my belief that there is a land of opportunity and that they have, in many cases, the knowledge and the adventurousness to explore those areas. We need to help them. Now, one of the ways in which we can do that, I think, is to build up their resilience to how they maybe plan for success and also how they cope with knockbacks when they arrive. And that's what this brief presentation is about. It highlights 7 areas where we feel, and this is backed up pretty much by research that goes back, I don't know, 10, 12 years now, that states pretty clearly that we need to enable people to navigate their way around some quite simple obstacles, but ones that will very much prevent them from making the progress they can and releasing the potential they've got. For each of these areas, we can provide some work with you, for you, with our young people that helps them to take a look at how they might navigate what is admittedly a difficult route forward, but a journey that I feel if we can help them on that journey to a destination, the potential that will be released is the very thing that's going to sustain us as we move forward as a society. So thanks for joining me, and I do hope you enjoyed the presentation. There'll be some contact details for you at the end. Thank you. I like to think of this as a continuum rather than a sort of ultimate destination point, hence didn't do as well as we hoped. So at one end of the continuum we've got absolute failure, very little if anything has been achieved, and at the other end, look, this could have been so much better with just a little more heft. So what this is about is to see if we can provide some inputs that will enable students to release the very best of their potential. Let's take a look, shall we? Well, it's great, isn't it, to have a dream, to hold a big picture, but unless there's some clarity about that, about why you're holding that, what's your purpose, what's the reality of achieving it, what are we going to do, I'm not quite sure that it's anything other than a dream, something that remains intangible. Now, we use some well understood coaching processes, and whether we're using this as a whole group, smaller groups or one-to-one, that's not important. The important thing is that we are beginning to engage with people and to ask them to start to build some reality around their dream, and then to start thinking of the steps they might have to take in order to achieve it, and also how are we going to develop some of the resilience needed to deal with the bad days. We can all talk about sunshine pictures, and that's absolutely fine, but I think we need to talk about that in the context of bad days notwithstanding. So this is about coaching towards dreams, towards ambitions, but with a good pinch of reality, so that it's got a degree of meaningfulness to that young person's life where they are now. Well, let's think of self-belief and confidence, and they're two quite interchangeable words, aren't they? In our coaching work, we're often asked to work with clients where they are assumed to lack confidence, and my question often is, confidence to do what? Once we've focused on what it is somebody actually wants to do and how life would be different, better for them if they were at that place in their journey, we can then begin to articulate what it is you need to do to get there, the steps you need to take, the people you need to meet, the conversations you need to have, and that resilience that you need to build up in yourself, your personal confidence, your personal effectiveness, and the manner in which you're able to take some control over the events that arrive at you and how you can begin to shape them to your advantage. the image here of Muhammad Ali, I suppose it just disappoints me in that this dates me, and a lot of the young people who we would be talking to might not even know who he was. The picture is included here because Ali never said, I think I'm alright at this. He actually stepped up there and said, I'm the greatest, and then went on to prove it. He also hated training, but understood that that was a very necessary part of what he had to do to get himself to that place where he believed he could be. So let's think about the sort of approaches we can use with our young people to enable them to take themselves forward with some realistic self-belief and some realistic confidence. That's part of the offer that we deliver, and this can be addressed as part of the wider program or as a single self-standing item. I promise you, if you're watching this with me now, you will have made some mistakes when you set about trying to achieve a challenge, and stuff got in the way, because it does. But you're still here. And if I ask you to maybe think of a specific one, just take a couple of seconds and do it now if you like. And think about the difficulties, the challenges you faced and how you navigated them. But most importantly, what you learned from them and what you kept. Certainly, encouraging people to take that challenge and grow the confidence to say, look, if it's gone wrong, it's gone wrong. It's not an unmitigated disaster. I haven't fallen off a ladder. I've just slipped a little bit down a slide, and I can put that right, and I can put that right relatively easily. And even if it is a big mistake, why should that discourage us from the goal, from the dream we held? So, when I hear, I don't know, or I couldn't be bothered, I'm listening for behind those words. Is there a sense of fear, a reluctance to commit, and is that about, I'm scared of making a mistake? Now, whether that's an academic or a vocational, a technical mistake, or whether it's a social mistake, it actually doesn't matter. They all carry the same power, and we need to help our young people to navigate them, and that too is part of our approach. Do you know this can be a difficult one to explain and to get over, so I'll try and keep it relatively simple and straightforward. Of course, our students, our learners, want to impress, to please their teachers, their lecturers, and their parents and carers. I absolutely get that. And some will be motivated by a reward. There's something at the end of it that you wanted, and you'll get it because you've achieved the standard we set, and that's fine. However, if that doesn't have a wider purpose, unless it means something directly to the individual who's carrying out the actions, who's heading towards that goal, that dream, please don't expect it for it to carry too much meaning to them. Because we get to the end of the process, things go wrong, and we have to face that dreadful sentence, I didn't want to do this anyway, I only did it to please X, Y, Z. But what a waste of time, commitment and effort. What we're about is to work with our young people so that they are absolutely focused on what it is they want. And for me, as long as it is ethical, challenging and meaningful, I don't have too much of a problem with what that actually is. However, they need to do it for themselves, and if there's a benefit for others, that is absolutely fantastic, let's do it. But let's not do it for others with the hope that there might be a benefit for ourselves. That's not going to produce the sort of level of motivation required, the stickability, the resilience that we need to help our young people to move forward. This image, the highway of life, it's been with us for a while, hasn't it, in art, music, poetry, and I suspect it's going to be with us for a long time going forward. And there's a good reason for that. it actually captures very much where you are when you take a look at what it is you've got to do and what has got you to the place you're at now. And of course, there are others who may be responsible for delivering you there, but they're not responsible for keeping you there. So there is a point within our program at which we try to encourage people to understand what's got them there, but is there any chance we can drop the blame, because it's actually quite debilitating and it will prevent you from moving forward. It's quite toxic, it can make you angry, it can make you sad, a mixture of both. Our message to our program is, what degree of personal responsibility are you going to take, can you take, and how can we use that in a positive and productive way to help you to achieve your dream? So, can we help with planning a journey? Well, I haven't picked on Scotland for any reason other than that's Route 66, Scotland's Route 66, and if you're planning on doing that, and I understand it's a really good route, great trip, other UK venues are available. If you're planning on doing that, then you really need to have some sort of idea about how you're going to do it, where you're going to stop. You get the picture. Perhaps this is one of the more challenging elements to lay before our young people, to say, look, you need to start thinking about a plan for that. And whereas spontaneity is great, it has to take place within a context. So let's just stick with the image that's there, shall we? So we decide that instead of spending one night in Inverness, we're going to spend 3 nights in Inverness. That's great. That's spontaneity within the context. The context is a wider plan, and if we're going to complete our Scottish Route 66, we're going to have to make that time up somewhere. So when I'm talking about plans, I'm not really talking about over-detailed pieces of work. What I'm looking for is a general context, a general framework within which we can begin to move forward, and what the elements of that we need to be aware of that might require us to be more attentive or devote more time and resources to. Simple as that. So without overcomplicating things, it feels to me very important that in order to build their resilience and to help them to succeed, we need to instill the importance of planning and direction within our young people. Ask some questions. How will it work? What do I need to know? Challenge those potential failures, and as we do that, we're actually moving them to a place of greater rather than lesser confidence. So if you want to avoid 7, do 1 to 6. The motivation has to come from the person themselves. I think it's our job to enable them to discover that motivation, to discover the sense of purpose and direction, and then to equip them to begin the journey. It's interesting, isn't it, and the references made here that mature students seem to work harder, never muck about. The whole idea, it's not because they're clever, it's just that they know why they're there. Their motivation is in a different place. I want to see our young people taking increased responsibility for their direction in life, using their teachers, their lecturers, their parents, their friends and family, wider networks as resources to help to get them there. If we can help on that journey, it feels to me to be the very best investment we can make in them and into our wider society. So thank you all, thanks everyone for staying with us through this clip. I hope there have been some messages here that are meaningful to you, and that you think that a conversation with us might be of some benefit to you and to your students and our young people. I do look forward to hearing from you, and our contact details follow. Thank you.